Hi, I'm Paul Edwards, author of the Mourner's Woods books, and first and foremost, a monster kid. Today I'm reading Monster Fantasy Magazine, issue number 2, from June 1975. I thought some of you might enjoy flipping through this vintage monster magazine with me. Just in case you don't own your own copy of Monster Fantasy Magazine, issue number 2, from 1975. Together, let's see what kinds of vintage monster goodness is in here. In this issue of Monster Fantasy, we're going to have The Strange Death of Lon Chaney, witchcraft movies, Elsa Lanchester, she played Bride of Frankenstein, The Hindenburg, The Book of the Mummy, The Thing That Was Killing the Girls. You're really going to have to narrow that down. That could be a lot of things. You gotta be more specific there. $1.25 cover price. Okay. Okay. We're going to start off with The Mummy. Actually, there's a couple of different things on The Mummy. A couple of different things on the Horror Hall of Fame, which was a TV special. Dracula. Disaster films. A lot on witchcraft, it looks like. Oh no, it's 2 articles, it's just big. Tales of Terror. And an article on Todd Browning's Freaks from 1932, which was probably not that well known by the general public when this magazine came out in the 70s. And of course, there's Rondo. All right, let's see what we're starting off with. The current crop of creepers. The Stepford Wives. Yep. I like the first Stepford Wives. That's another one of those franchises where the first movie is really good and then the sequels are just bombs. The House on Skull Mountain. Yep. I remember that. See, some of these, when they were telling you about upcoming movies, sometimes this information turns out to be true, and sometimes it turns out to be wrong, probably because the studio changed their minds and either renamed the movie or pulled the plug on the movie. I have no idea what Frankenstein 1894 is. That's not the final title of any Frankenstein movie I know of. All right. Oh, but look, they've got Earthquake coming up with the great Charlton Heston. Oh, again. So these are upcoming movies, right? The House That Vanished. I don't know what that is. It's Alive. I do know. Jaws. Huge blockbuster. The original summer blockbuster. Phantom of Paradise. But some of these I don't know. Like Seizure. What was Seizure? I don't know that one. This looks like an evil version of Tom Baker's Doctor Who. Yikes. Oh, Dr. Phibes. That's Vincent Price under all that. Oops. Hey, look, the print is a little off here, see? It's like, it's slanted. Young Frankenstein. That was the year before this. The Book of the Mummy. Full-length bonus. How Egypt made mummies. How Hollywood made mummies. Gosh. Wow. Land of the Pharaohs, 1955. Oh, there's Christopher Lee playing the Hammer Studios version of The Mummy, rising up out of the swamp. So there had been a silent film called Eyes of the Mummy. The first sound film to have a mummy was Boris Karloff's The Mummy in 1932. But in that film, Karloff's character was only wrapped in bandages in the opening sequence. After that, he was unwrapped and on the loose as an evil magician. The mummy that we think of, where the mummy is bandaged the entire time and is just thumping around, attacking people without saying anything. This kind of The Mummy started in The Mummy's Hand, which was a reboot of The Mummy in 1940. And Tom Tyler played him in this movie, but for the next 3 Mummy movies, it was Lon Chaney Jr. In fact, here's Lon Chaney Jr. Yeah, that is creepy as anything. It's not as exacting as the Boris Karloff mummy makeup, but it is creepy. This is from Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy, a comedy horror film. So that's not supposed to be great mummy makeup. When I was a kid, I was scared witless of the Christopher Lee version of The Mummy. Here's Peter Cushing trying to fend him off. All right, so here we're getting a big spread on the 1959 version of The Mummy. This is the Hammer Studios one. Oh, look, and it even walks you through the story. That's pretty good. So if you can't manage to see the movie, you can at least read along with this and sort of imagine it. That's pretty good. For 1975, when there were no, home video choices, you just had to take whatever the TV stations decided to put on. If you wanted to see The Mummy and it wasn't on your TV, well, you could just read through this. So Tom Tyler, Boris Karloff, and Lon Chaney Jr. all were good mummies, but something about Christopher Lee enhanced the role. I think he had more physicality to it. His version of The Mummy just felt more violent and more powerful and unstoppable. This is a mummy-like movie. This is from Curse of the Faceless Man. Curse of the Faceless Man was about, if you know about Mount Vesuvius, the volcano that erupted and solidified the inhabitants of the village of Pompeii in molten rock in the exact poses that they were standing in when the volcano blew up. This is about one of those poor unfortunates who's been trapped in frozen rock for all these years, coming back to life. So it's sort of it's a mummy-like movie, although not a real mummy. Disaster movies were big in the 70s. Oh gosh. Yep. With Hindenburg with George C. Scott. Yep. There were a lot of big budget disaster movies in the 70s, like Earthquake, The Towering Inferno, and the airport movies. There's There's Rondo. Look, so here's a filmography, in case you want to know what movies Rondo did. Of course, in the 70s, you couldn't Google this sort of thing. You had to wait for a publication like this to print the filmography. This is weird. Look at the layout here. It's like they had more photographs that they were going to include and then for some reason didn't. Well, they're giving away the shock ending of The Freaks with the final scene of the movie right here at the beginning of the article. I'm not crazy about that. The Strange Death of Lon Chaney. This is Lon Chaney Sr., the silent film star who was the archetype of later horror stars like Boris Karloff and Vincent Price. Lon Chaney Sr. was the man of 1,000 faces. Most famously, The Phantom of the Opera and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Both of which you can see on my YouTube channel, on my Silent Horror Films podcast. Elsa Lanchester, who played the Bride of Frankenstein, and a bit of trivia, she also played Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, in that opening segment in the movie Bride of Frankenstein. In fact, she even mimics some of the same poses that she did as Mary Shelley when she's playing the bride, like a certain tilt of the head. Island of Lost Souls was a movie version of the H.G. Wells story, The Island of Dr. Moreau. That's right, Elsa Lanchester's husband was Charles Laughton, who played the Hunchback of Notre Dame in the 1939 version. Oh, and now we're on to witchcraft movies. Hollywood has given us a lot of Satan, Salem, and sex, but very little authentic witchcraft. Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi in The Black Cat. Karloff's character was a Satanist in this movie. Who would have ever thought that Dracula would be taller than Frankenstein's monster? But Bela Lugosi was, in fact, taller than Boris Karloff. A lot of voodoo movies in here. The witchcraft series they forced off TV. Is it Bewitched? No. No, Bewitched had a massive run. That was one of the most successful TV shows ever. They only stopped that because Elizabeth Montgomery got tired of doing it. Which I can understand. You know, people get mad when actors quit a role, but I think if you become an actor, you probably do it because you want to play different characters, not just the same character for years and years. So I can understand why actors are like, okay, well, I did that role, now what? And she did it for like 10 years. Jonathan Frid was, of course, Barnabas Collins in the TV show Dark Shadows. Oh, there he is vamping out in the makeup room. There's Barnabas. There you go. This is still Jonathan Frid, aged in an episode of Dark Shadows. That was a wild show. The Thing That Was Killing the Girls. Oh, this is a short story. It's not based on any movie. This is just a short horror story. Bela Lugosi. You want a Target gun through the mail? Wow. Oh my gosh. I want monster-sized monsters. Although it looks like the ad has been clipped off there. Like the print was not even. This would have been absolutely useful in the 1970s. Miracle TV antenna. If you weren't there, TV reception was a big problem. I mean, it's a first world problem, obviously, but it was a problem. You had to have these big metal antennae on your rooftop in order to get most TV signals. Oh, you can buy a knife as well as a gun. That's great. Ooh, the monsters, who's who? Get a load of this guy. Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, we're running out of bloody bargains. Which ones should we order? Oh, you can even rush the order. Nice. Well, for the last thing, this is on the back cover, we get pictures from the TV series Night Gallery. Pretty freaky. I'm not sure any of them are keepers that you would want to hang up in your room, though. Listen, if you enjoy vintage horror and classic monsters, check out my book series, the Mourner's Woods books. I have them for sale on Amazon. I'm self-published. I have a series of novels that are set in a haunted forest, Mourner's Woods. Each story has a completely new cast of characters venturing into Mourner's Woods, where they encounter all kinds of different difficulties in each book. Ghosts, monsters, things that go bump in the night. But invariably, the greatest danger a character faces is the friend who hiked here with them. Mourner's Woods is a series of books in which I try to recapture the feel and vibe of those great old 20th century monster movies. My name again is Paul Edwards. My books are the Mourner's Woods books. They're available on Amazon.com. Thanks for spending some time looking through Monster Fantasy issue number 2 with me. I'll see you in Mourner's Woods.